here at Dry Creek Wrangler School. I'm going to make another video this afternoon, and I want to make this video I want to talk about trail etiquette. Etiquette on the trail with other riders when you're horseback riding. Now this applies to wranglers and outfitters to a smaller degree, and just trail riders that are out riding with other people. Now it's kind of generally known by folks who know me that I have a bit of a temper. I'm wound a little tight, and I've tried as I get older to be calmer, to have more peaceful outlook on things. And one of the ways I do that is I just avoid rude people. Then there's some folks out there that I won't ride with. But I also have gotten old enough that I understand and I realize that some people are not rude. They're not deliberately rude. They're not trying to be discourteous. They just don't know. Nobody told them. Nobody taught them. And that's kind of, I think, where I come in, where these videos come in. It's just to teach and to help folks find an easier way to learn about things than I did, because I didn't have anybody teach me when I first started. So, etiquette on the trail. Let's start with the obvious, okay? Smoking. Not everybody appreciates tobacco like those who smoke tobacco. Now, as you know, I really have an appreciation for a good, fine, hand-rolled cigar. I know what goes into it. I know the history behind it, and I know what they cost. But not everybody does. And so when I'm out riding with other people, as a rule, I don't take cigars. Now sometimes I'll have a pipe. I've never had anybody dislike or get offended at a pipe and the smell of good pipe tobacco. But cigarettes, vaping, cigars, it's not as prevalent as it used to be. So we need to be conscientious of those that we ride with. Now, if you're riding professionally, some outfits anymore, they have rules about it, about tobacco products and what you can use and where and when. But just be aware of who you're riding with, and be courteous and be thoughtful. And if you need to do without for a little while in order to allow somebody to have a good ride, then do it, okay? Especially if you're a professional. They paid a lot of money for that ride, all right? And so just be courteous and conscientious about it. Now, to go along with that, this isn't courteous and conscientious. This should be a rule or a law. If you pack it in, pack it out. All right? If you are in a situation where you can enjoy your tobacco product, then when you're finished with it, whether it's a cigar butt or a cigarette butt, pack it out. Put it out good. All right? Smash the end of that cigarette. Make sure it doesn't burn your fingers. Make sure it's completely out. Put it in your shirt pocket or your vest pocket or in your saddlebag and take it out. We're not even talking about fire danger, and that's a big point. It's just nasty. It's just nasty, okay? So pack it out, all right? So trash, if you pack it in, pack it out. Whether it's an empty water bottle or empty Coke can or a potato chip bag or whatever it is, don't leave anything behind. And to go along with that, to be courteous, if you see somebody else's trash on the trail, pick that up too. Carry it out. All right? And don't leave it. And we should have the philosophy when we go through life that everywhere we go, when we pass through, it's somehow a little bit better, a little bit cleaner, a little bit sunnier when we pass through than it was before we got there. Now, you don't have to volunteer to soup kitchen to do that, although that's great and that's noble. That's a good thing. But it doesn't take that much, all right? That trash is on the trail. If you happen to come through and you picked up that empty potato chip bag, that trail is just a little bit better for you having been there. It's the same, you go in Walmart. You got to go in Walmart. Walmart's not a pleasant place. okay? But if you got to go in, you go up to the counter, look at that gal, that poor gal who just looks grumpy and wore out and exhausted. Look her in the eye and say, how are you doing today? All right? The world's just a little bit sunnier for you having been there. But anyhow, on the trail, if you see trash, pick it up and take it out. Now, the only exception I'll make to that is toilet paper. All right? Now, I'm going to be delicate here, but nature happens, and sometimes when you're out there, you've got to do what needs to be done. So go off by yourself, and if you're in terrain where you can, take you a sharp stick or something and dig you a cat hole. All right? Just dig you a little hole, about so big around, so deep. Do your business and kick dirt back over it. Cover it up. Put your paper in there and cover it up. Now, if you can't dig a hole, there's places out there you can't always dig a hole, but I will always, at least when I'm finished, go around and gather up some rocks and some sticks and some stuff, and I'll cover it up. All right, it's biodegradable. It will rot down and disappear, but in the meantime, somebody else come along doesn't need to see that, okay? So carry your trash out. Secondly, now this is me. All right, this is me, and maybe you'll see it, maybe you won't, maybe you'll agree with it, maybe you won't. Your radio, okay? A lot of people leave society and go out in the mountains and go out in the woods and go trail riding to get away from noise and racket and just the bombarding of today's culture and society. And they're not going to appreciate it if you come along and you bring it with you, okay? So leave your radio at home, or your iPod, or your whatever it is. It's not even a question of your style of music. Maybe if they're at home, they'll listen to your style of music, and maybe they won't. But it's just the fact that my favorite bird, I love a red-winged blackbird, and I love to hear them call. I love the sound of a meadowlark. I love the sound of the wind, a breeze coming through aspen trees. I love it. And if you turn on Luke Bryan or Florida Georgia Line or Jason Aldean or some such garbage like that and drowned out, I'm not going to be too happy. Others around you aren't going to be too happy. So just think about it. Just consider it, okay? Your horse is your responsibility. I've been asked about stud horses. 99.99% of the time, stud horses do not belong on a trail ride. If you're going to bring a stud horse, if you're going to ride with folks, let them know you have a stud and ask him if it's okay if he comes along, and let them get the information they need and decide that. Listen, there have been mares with saddles and riders out on the trail that had been mounted by studs that also had a saddle and a rider while they were out on the trail. And people get hurt like that. All right, that's a big old wreck, and it happens. Okay, so just really, really be careful about that. If you show up and you haven't had a chance to ask the folks that are there, go ask them. I brought a stud. Now, if you want to come meet him and you want to come see how quiet he is or whatnot, but the stud, be careful about that. And if you sneak a stud in on a ride and don't tell anybody he's a stud, that's rude. That's rude. That's not good. You need to not do that. You ride a mare or a gelding, their temperament, their behavior is your responsibility, okay? All right, so if they tend to bite, if they tend to kick, if they tend to always want to be in front, so they swing over and cut off the rider behind you, that's all your responsibility. So you need to be aware of it, and you need to ride accordingly. And if you've got a nasty horse, and listen, all of us who've had horses and ridden horses for years, we've all had nasty horses. Usually they're mares. All right, you get a nasty mare who's got a prickly temperament anyhow, and she's in heat, you may have to ride at the back of the pack. You may have to ride in the back. All right, but everybody else is out there to have fun too. So don't let your horse go up there and ruin somebody else's day. If somebody has to stop, Okay, if somebody has to stop for whatever reason, maybe they have to answer the call of nature. Okay, maybe they dropped a glove. Maybe the horse has got a little bit of a sticky problem getting across the creek. Somebody stay behind with that rider. Now, if they're answering the call of nature, you can go 50 yards down the trail, whatever, so you're out of sight, but stay right there. Because a lot of horses, they get really anxious when the other horses go off and leave them. And if you've got a rider that's maybe not a top-notch professional rider, they're going to have a lot of trouble with that. So it's just courteous to help that horse and help that rider. Somebody stay with them. All right, don't ride off and leave them if they have to stop. Well, the traffic's really loud today, of course. And then one more thing, I was riding in North Carolina, and a young man I had never ridden before, he showed up. He wanted to come on the ride, and he unloaded. It was a beautiful horse, a black Arabian that had not been ridden very much, and that horse was just thoroughly just jacked up and lathered and sweated. But he wanted to ride that horse. So there were several of us. There were 12 or 13 of us, and we were headed down. And I've been around for a while, and so a lot of times I can see the signs. I can see what's coming. And of course, he had a radio strapped to the horn of his saddle, I think, if I remember right. But we're riding towards the back because I'm riding a 5-year-old Mustang that was just barely broke. And he was a bucker. He didn't buck on me that day, and it's a miracle he didn't, but he was a bucker. And I was riding to the back and just going easy and just getting some miles on him, getting him experienced to other horses in the woods and everything. And this guy, he pulled up. He pulled his horse up and stopped. And his horse was slinging his head and lathered and stomping and prancing and carrying on. And we rode on ahead about 50 yards, and I knew what was coming. I knew what was coming. So I gathered my horse up gently, but firmly and calmly, and moved him off to the side of the trail. And that guy come galloping up at a dead run on that black Arabian. And we like to had a big old wreck. Now, he realized after he'd done it, he shouldn't have done it. I don't know if he saw the look on my face or what, and he apologized for it. But horses feed off each other. Okay, so don't let you or your horse wreck somebody else's ride or get somebody hurt. Okay, so just a lot of times it's just thinking. We don't think. So just be aware, and we need to live life. We need to have less of the philosophy where we ask the question, what are my rights? What do I have the right to do? I have the right to smoke a cigarette if I want. I have the right to do this if I want. We need to stop that. It's destroying our country. We need to live more with what is the right thing to do. Because what you have the right to do is not always the right thing to do. All right? So be safe. Be logical. Be reasonable. Have fun. But if everybody's not having fun, then nobody's having fun. So ride with those around you in mind. Okay? I hope this helps. If it does, if you'll click like, if you haven't subscribed, maybe if you'll subscribe, hit that bell so you get notified. And I hope this helps you a little bit. I hope it didn't come across as too scratchy, because I don't mean for it to be. I just want to help folks, all right? I don't make a dime off these. And so I just do it because I want to teach folks and I want to help folks. And so I hope it helps you. And until then, we'll catch you next time.